Welcome to this lesson on solving two-step equations. Today we're going to talk about not only how to solve two-step equations, but we're going to continue to practice writing equations. All right, so first we're going to create an equation for the problem. So we're going to go through and let's look at what the question is first. So the question is, how many ice cream bars did he buy? Right, so when we look at the equation, so let's go back and look at the problem. So we have George went to the zoo and spent $27. So he spent $27. So this is what he ended up doing. He didn't start with 27, he spent 27. If admission was 15, so that's important, and each ice cream bar he bought was $3, how many ice cream bars did he buy? Well, in this case, when we put together our equation, we have to start with what we know. We know that he started by spending the $15 to get into the zoo. That 15 represents the admission to the zoo. We also know that he spent $27. So 15 plus something else has to give me 27 because we know he spent that money. So I know I have to add to the 15 to figure out what else I spent. And I know based on the problem that the only thing else that he could have spent on was ice cream. And I know that ice cream was $3, but I know 15 plus 3 is not 27, so I know he didn't just buy one ice cream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use I as my variable because what I don't know, so I'm actually going to go here and say what I don't know is how much ice cream he bought. So that is going to be equal to I for ice cream. And I know that each ice cream he bought gets multiplied by 3 because that's how much each one costs. So I know my equation then is going to be the $15 to get in plus the $3 times the number of ice creams he bought, and whatever that is should give me $27. Now I can work backwards and figure out how many ice creams he bought based on how his spending went. Okay, but like I said, we're just writing an equation right now. We're not actually going to solve this. So let's try one more. If you'd like to, go ahead and pause and solve for yourself and come back. Make sure you're doing your highlighting, boxing, underlining, and all that, and make sure you're defining your variable. So the question is, and let's start by reading the question, how many months has she been going? Okay, so now I read, Ellen joined a gym a few months ago. She paid $40 for the joining fee and pays $15 per month. If she has paid $100 total to the gym, how many months has she been going? So I know that Ellen joining a gym really isn't that important to us. I know that she paid $40 for the joining fee. So the joining fee means that that happened first. And she continues to pay $15 per month. And then I know that she already paid $100. So I want to know how many months. So my unknown is how many months she's been going to the gym. Well, I guess we shouldn't say going to the gym because you can be a member at a gym and not go. There's plenty of us that sign up and we pay for it, but we never quite end up going to that gym. To the gym. But for Ellen's sake, we'll just say that she did. And that is going to be resented by M because it's months. That's just the way that my brain works. So if you wanted to use G for gym, that is just fine. But you just have to make sure that it represents how many months she's going to the gym or she's been going to the gym. So I know that she spent $100. So that should be my end result because that's at the end. That's what she finished with. That's what she did. I also know that her joining fee, so the first thing she did was spend $40. And then I know she had to do more than that. She's adding to that $40 because she's also spending $15 per month. So she's spending $15, and I know to do $15 per month, I know that this means that I'm going to multiply. So 15 times M. So what I can also do is I can go through and say, okay, 15 per month means I'm going to do 15 times M. And then I also know that she spent 40, and then I know that these two things have to be put together and that I'm adding them together. So you can kind of do your thought process out here and then turn it into your equation, or you can set it up like we started with and put the equal sign and put what you started with or what happened first, and then what happened next, and what was the end result. So your equation should really look or read like a story problem, minus the story. The numbers would tell the story. All right, so when you're solving these equations with multiple steps, we have to think of what determines, when we have multiple steps but it's not an equation, what determines the order that we do the problem in. Look at order. We know that we use the order of operations. And I know that my order of operations for expressions is the parentheses, multiplication, parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. Well, when you're solving equations and inequalities, you do the order of operations but you do them opposite and backwards. I would strongly encourage you to write that down. Do the opposite and do it backwards. All right, so let's look at what this means. So I know that if I didn't have this here, so if I wasn't looking at this, I would first do multiplication because that's what comes first. Multiplication comes before subtraction. Second, according to operations, would be subtraction. So I would multiply and then subtract. But since I am trying to solve this equation, since I already have a solution and I'm trying to work backwards, I have my answer. So when we use the order of operations, we're usually looking for this. But now, since I have the answer, or since I have the solution, I'm trying to work backwards to see what got me there. So work backwards to see how did I get here. Okay, so like we've talked about before, if you take 4 steps into the classroom, you know that if you were to rewind, you would take 4 steps backwards out of the classroom. So think of this as watching a movie and watching everything go backwards. Or if you were to rewind this and watch me do it backwards, that would show you how we got to where we were. And now we're actually doing that to solve. So how would we solve this equation? Well, like we said, we do the opposite and backwards. So let's work our way up. So first we have subtraction. So we take the opposite of subtraction, which is addition. And then we would have done multiplication, and the opposite of that is division. So we would have added and then divided. So you add and then divide to solve because of course, we want to get rid of minus 2, so we plus 2 to both sides. And then we want to undo multiplication, so we divide by 4 to both sides. I would strongly encourage that you have this written down and that you understand this and that you go over it again if you don't. All right, so we said here, and this is what I always do. I go through and I say, okay, I would multiply and then subtract normally if I didn't have the solution. So I'm going to add and then divide. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I get 4x is equal to 12. And then I divide both sides by 4. I get x is equal to 3. Let's plug it back in and see if it works. 4 times 3, so now I do this normally to check. Is 12 minus 2, and does that equal 10? So we got it right. Yay! So here, according to the order of operations, I would divide and then add. So I'm going to subtract and then multiply. So I'm adding 3, so I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. And I get a divided by 5 equals 15. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. And I get a is equal to 75. So let's take a look at this. If I put 75 in, plus 3 equals 18. The first thing I do is divide, and that gets me to, divide by 5, not divide by 15. I was wondering why that looks so funky. There we go. So I do 75 divided by 5, and I get 15. Then I would add the 3, and that would give me 18. So that's why I do it backwards. Like we said, it's like you're rewinding to solve. Again, it just takes practice, and I really encourage you guys to do this part where you write down, this is what I would do, so this is what I have to do to solve. Right? Again, you have your U-try problems. You have two-step equations here to solve, and one where it's asking you to write and solve an equation. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to email me or write them down so we can go over them in class.